Yeah.
Hmm?
Good evening, everyone. I'm John Rowe, Mayor of the City of Portsmouth, Virginia. And tonight, the Portsmouth City Council is having a virtual City Council meeting. Today is Tuesday, December the 8th, 2020. And with the gavel I just wrapped, I'm calling the meeting to order. And Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Battle,
Here.
Mr. Clark,
Here.
Mr. Glover,
Here.
Mrs. Lucas Burke,
Here.
Mr. Moody,
Here.
Miss Simmons,
Here.
Mayor Rep.
Here. In accordance with Governor Ralph Northam's declaration of a state of emergency due to the COVID-19 virus, his executive order number 51, which he signed on March the 12th, 2020, and then our local declaration of emergency, which the Portsmouth City Council ratified, and due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, which continues in our country, our Commonwealth, our region, and in Portsmouth. This meeting of the Portsmouth City Council is being held by video conference today, the 8th day of December 2020, without a quorum of City Council members present in the City Council chamber. And we're doing this in an effort to reduce the likely spread of the COVID-19 virus. We're doing this in accordance with City Council Ordinance 2020-21 and 2020-102. Each member of City Council is participating from their home or some other remote location, and I'm in the City Council chamber. This meeting is being broadcast live on Facebook Live, and it will be broadcast as a video after the adjournment of this meeting on YouTube and the normal places that the city posts these videos. And I'm getting a signal from Mr. Pace. Where else, Mr. Pace? Anyway, if you have a question about viewing the meeting, please call either the city clerk or the city manager. With that, we'll go to our agenda. The first item on our agenda is the consideration of minutes. We have the minutes of a call meeting of November 24th, 2020, and the minutes of a regular meeting of November 24th, 2020. And we'll consider the approval of these minutes with one motion so that we can put this matter before us for our consideration. Is there a motion to approve these minutes?
Move adoption.
Second. Sir, we have a motion that's been duly made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we're ready for our vote. All of our votes this evening will be roll call votes. The city clerk will call the roll. If you're in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye when your name is called. If you're opposed, nay. Madam Clerk, will you call the vote, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Battle,
Aye.
Mr. Clark,
Aye.
Mr. Glover,
Aye.
Mrs. Lucas Burke,
Aye.
Mr. Moody,
Aye.
Miss Simmons,
Aye.
Mayor Rowe.
Aye. We now come to a interesting point of our agenda. This has been a year of first, 2020, because of the pandemic. The first time we ever had virtual council meetings, the first time that we've had virtual public hearings. Tonight we will have a virtual presentation to honor the service provided by Councilwoman Elizabeth Simmons and Councilman Nate Clark for their faithful service to the city. Their terms on council end at the end of this month. And we will have our new council taking office effective of January 1, 2021. And so tonight it gives us an opportunity to honor them and their service to and their passion for the city. And first, I would like the city clerk to read a proclamation pertaining to Councilwoman Simmons' service.
Yes, sir. Proclamation to Elizabeth M. Simmons in recognition of her service to the Portsmouth City Council. Whereas the Honorable Elizabeth M. Simmons is a native of Portsmouth, a business owner, and a civic leader, and she has served on the Portsmouth City Council from 2004 through 2010, was again reelected in 2012 through 2020. She was selected by her peers in 2015 as vice mayor. And whereas Councilwoman Simmons was raised in Churchland and attended Portsmouth Public Schools, Nasmith Suffolk Academy, and West Hampton College of the University of Richmond, where she obtained a Bachelor of Arts degree in political science. And whereas Councilwoman Simmons has been active in the community for decades, she is a sustaining member and past president of the Portsmouth Service League. She is also a past director of the Elizabeth River Project, American Red Cross, Full Circle AIDS Hospice, the Hearst Shelter for Battered Women, and several art organizations. In 1999, Girls Inc. Center for Youth awarded Elizabeth their Strong, Smart, and Bold Award for her community service. And whereas she has been committed to not only the advancement of the Portsmouth business community, but also the economic vitality of the entire Hampton Roads region. As such, Virginia Business Magazine named her in the top 25 business women in Hampton Roads in 1998. And she served as vice president for the board of the Portsmouth Partnership, board chairman of the Portsmouth Division of the Hampton Roads Chamber of Commerce, and the president of the Old Town Business Association, to name a few of her many business leadership accomplishments. And during her civic and political career, Councilwoman Simmons was appointed by Virginia Governor Mark Warner to serve as Portsmouth's representative to the Chesapeake Bay Bridge Tunnel Commission, for which she served on the commission for 5 years. She is currently the City Council liaison to the Port of Virginia, the Virginia Maritime Association, the Economic Development Authority, the Portsmouth Port and Industrial Commission, and the Mayor's Military Affairs Committee. Now, therefore, Mayor John L. Rowe Jr. of the City of Portsmouth, Virginia, upon her retirement from the Portsmouth City Council, do hereby express the appreciation of the Portsmouth family to the Honorable Elizabeth M. Simmons, and we are grateful for her many years of service, her civic and business leadership, her dedication to our city, and the pride that she has instilled in our community. In witness whereof, I have set unto my hand and caused the seal of Portsmouth, Virginia, to be affixed this 8th day of December, 2020, and is signed by our mayor, John L. Rose.
And it magically appeared in my kitchen.
The magic of virtual meetings.
Exactly.
This hand clap by the members of council is just a small token of our deep appreciation and love for you and your service to our community. And Madam Clerk, if appropriate, please spread this proclamation in our minutes.
Yes, sir.
And your service to the city is both a labor of love, I know that, on your part, and a person that has courage. You're you're smart and um, very analytical, and you have a tremendous amount of courage that you have displayed in your leadership. And with that, do you have any comments that you would like to say?
No, if I start commenting, I'll start crying. So I'll just say thank you. It's been my pleasure. It's been my honor, and I wish all of you well and good health in the coming years. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next is not a proclamation, but the giving of a gold watch to Councilman Nathan J. Clark. Uh, Nate was elected to the Portsmouth City Council in 2016, and he's a native of Portsmouth. He's the son of Lloyd Dan and Janice Ellen Clark. He grew up in Port Norfolk, one of our historic neighborhoods, and he attended Port Norfolk Elementary School, and he's a 1987 graduate of IC Norcom High School. Go Greyhounds. And in 2011, Nate received an Associate of Applied Science degree in the Administration of Justice from Tidewater Community College, where he graduated magna cum laude, and that's not too shabby. Um, Nate has a passion for both Portsmouth and public safety, and it shows in what he's done in his adult life. He has served in the Portsmouth Sheriff's Department, the Portsmouth Police Department, and the Portsmouth Fire Department. He has covered all of our public safety activities in the city. He was a deputy sheriff until 1991 in the Portsmouth Sheriff's Department. And then at that time, he joined the Portsmouth Police Department. And while with the Portsmouth Police Department, if I got this correctly, Nate, you served as a member of the Tactical Response Unit and the Strategic Traffic Unit. And then to round out his Portsmouth public safety career, he joined the Portsmouth Fire Department in 2002. And his assignments included Ladder 1 and Engine 4. And all that time, he was also a member of the fire department's technical rescue team. Something that I'm extremely sensitive to is the fact that Nate's a veteran. He served proudly in the Virginia National Guard as a combat medic, and he received the Army Commendation Medal while on deployment. Nate retired from the city and joined the Virginia Marine Resources Commission as a maritime police officer, but he's actually a leader. The VMRC recognized his leadership ability, and he now serves as first sergeant with VMRC. He's responsible in this position as a member of VMRC of patrolling our waterways, search and rescue operation, and counter-terrorism tactics. Most importantly, I think, is Nate's a great father. He has two sons. He's a proud father of Daniel, who's a graduate of JMU, and Jacob, who's with the Suffolk Police Department. My observation of Nate is that he's a leader who exercises his leadership in a very quiet but firm way. You might even call him a natural leader. He's a very quick study, and he's got great analytical skills, and he's got a great sense of humor. And that shows at the appropriate times when we're all taking the job maybe too seriously. Nate will remind us of the realities of life. And so, Nate, it's with great honor that we honor you with a gold watch. And hopefully that's appeared at your house. And with that, let's give Nate a hand. Nate, would you like to make any comments?
I would just like to thank everybody. And in addition to new colleagues, I have made a lot of new friends in this position. And I'm not going anywhere. Portsmouth is still my home. So if any way that I can help the city or anybody going forward, I believe everybody knows how to contact me. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, it says presentation to me, and Deborah gave me this goal watch, and she didn't need to do that, and you didn't. I'm sure that hopefully you could see that beautiful smile of hers. It's been my great privilege to serve my hometown. It's been humbling and flattering, but it's time to retire. I started off in local government in Hampton Roads, working for the Norfolk City Manager in June of 1971. And it's now time for Carol and me to spoil our grandchildren. Portsmouth is going to be in great hands come January 1 with our newly elected Mayor Shannon Glover and the rest of the newly elected council members, Dr. Whitaker and DeAndre Barnes, and then our returning members, Lisa Lucas Burke and Paul Battle, and you have a vacancy that you need to fill come January 1, and we know that you'll pick the right person for that position. Thank you for such great teamwork. I think that we have worked very well as a team. And tonight we'll cap off one of our things that we started off to accomplish in the early part of 2017, which is the adoption of the zoning ordinance. We've done a lot in 4 years. So thank you. Thank you for being my teammates and my friends. Pardon me? Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Well,
I was trying to cut off any debate.
well, council members and citizens of Portsmouth who are watching, it was going to be my great honor as the vice mayor to take this point of privilege to present and offer a proud Portsmouth thank you to Mayor John Rowe for his dedicated leadership and service to the city of Portsmouth over the past 4 years. We know that local government, John Rowe, Mayor, has been in your heart for many years, and we are happy and delighted that and appreciative that you have shared a part of your heart with us in your role of mayor through from January 2017 through the end of this year, December 31st, 2020. And we know that you're going to go and enjoy time with your family, and we know that you deserve that time. But we want to show our thank you to you by presenting you the gold watch, and we want to give you a round of applause for the work that you have done as mayor with us. So if you all will join me in giving our mayor, John Rowe, a round of applause. And thank you for your service, sir.
Well, thank you, Lisa. I really appreciate those kind words. And Deborah does a great job of scripting the agenda. She didn't have this on the agenda, so I apologize if I stepped on protocol. Again, this is our first time we have made virtual presentations, and I sincerely appreciate your comments.
Right, and I congratulate also Councilwoman Elizabeth Simmons and Nathan Clark. We were elected together, so we learned a lot growing through those 4 years. So I wish you all well in your new endeavors as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. We come now to a point in our agenda where I'm going to ask the city clerk, Deborah White, to read the protocol for speakers.
Yes, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, City Council rules require a limit of up to 3 minutes to speak. While speakers have an opportunity to address council on matters of public concern, all comments should be made in a manner that respects the seriousness of the forum and should not be made in a belligerent, sarcastic, or demeaning fashion. All remarks shall be directed to the city council as a body rather than to any particular member of city council, staff, or the audience, and should be limited to matters that only the Portsmouth City Council can influence. A speaker who fails to observe this basic rule of decorum will be deemed out of order and not allowed to conclude his or her comments.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Our next item is unfinished business, and this consists of rezoning and code amendments. And it's actually in our consent agenda. And if there's no dissent, we'll consider all three items with one motion. Is that appropriate, Mr. City Attorney?
Yes.
Okay. He says yes. And so I'm going to ask the clerk to read the caption of all three ordinances, please.
Yes, sir. Item C, zoning amendment ordinance Z 2007. Item E, zoning amendment ordinance Z 2008. And item F, an ordinance to amend the code of the city of Portsmouth, Virginia by adopting an amended and restated zoning ordinance as a new chapter 40.2 and by repealing the existing chapter 40.1.
Madam Clerk, so that we can put this matter before us and my colleagues on council, is there a motion to adopt the consent agenda?
Move for
So
adoption.
moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion that's been duly made to adopt a consent agenda, which would in effect adopt all three ordinances. We're now ready for discussion. Madam Clerk, did we receive any comments pertaining to any of these?
Actually, sir, we received a comment pertaining to item E, but it was in the citizens' comments portion of your agenda.
Oh, okay, fine. So any further discussion on the motion, which is to adopt the consent agenda, which in effect adopts all three ordinances? Hearing none, we're ready for the question. If you're in favor of the motion, please indicate by voting aye, opposed nay. Madam Clerk, will you call the vote, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Battle,
Aye.
Mr. Clark,
Aye.
Mr. Glover,
Aye.
Mrs. Lucas Burke,
Aye.
Mr. Moody, Mr. Moody,
Mr. Moody's muted, I think. Muted.
he's muted. I'm not sure if he's there. I'll come back. Ms. Simmons,
Aye.
Mayor Rowe.
Aye. Now, that I said three, there's actually four items, is there
Well,
not?
the fourth item is not consent agenda. It had a
Okay,
6-1
good.
code.
All
Mr.
right.
Moody, did you show up? Okay, this item is adopted 6-0.
Okay, good. We're now at item 20-296D. And this is the consideration and adoption of a certain ordinance. And Madam Clerk, will you read the caption of that ordinance, please?
Yes, sir. Zoning amendment ordinance Z 2006.
So that we can put this matter before us for our consideration, is our motion to adopt this ordinance.
Move for adoption.
Is there a second? We have a motion that's been duly made and seconded. Any discussion on the motion? We're ready for the question. If you're in favor of the motion, please indicate by voting aye. Opposed, nay. Madam Clerk, will you call the vote, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Battle,
Nay.
Mr. Clark,
Aye.
Mr. Glover,
Aye.
Mrs. Lucasberg,
Aye.
Mr. Moody,
Aye.
Miss Simmons,
Aye.
Mayor Rowe.
Aye. We're now at item 20-312, which is the consideration of a certain ordinance. And Madam Clerk, will you read the caption of that ordinance, please?
Yes, sir. An ordinance appropriating the necessary funds to implement the general fund and risk management fund of the FY 2021 Portsmouth Public Schools budget for the third quarter of fiscal year 2021.
So that we can put this matter before us for our consideration, is there a motion to adopt this ordinance?
Move for adoption.
Is there a second? We have a motion that's been duly made and seconded, which is to adopt the ordinance. Any discussion? Hearing none, we're ready for the question. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Yes, sir. Mr. Battle,
Aye.
Mr. Clark,
Aye.
Mr. Glover,
Aye.
Mrs. Lucasberg,
Aye.
Mr. Moody,
Aye.
Miss Simmons,
Aye.
Mayor Rowe.
Aye. We're now at item 20-313, which is the consideration of the adoption of another ordinance. And Madam Clerk, will you read the caption of this ordinance, please?
Yes, sir. An ordinance accepting $12,970 of Community Development Block Grant Program income and appropriating said amount in the FY 2021 Community Planning and Development Program Fund.
So that we can put this matter before us for our consideration, is there a motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion that's been duly made and seconded, which is to adopt this ordinance. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we're ready for the question. If you're in favor of the motion, please indicate by voting aye, opposed nay. And Madam Clerk, will you call the vote, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Battle,
Aye.
Mr. Clark,
Aye.
Mr. Glover,
Aye.
Mrs. Lucasberg,
Aye.
Mr. Moody,
Aye.
Miss Simmons,
Aye.
Mayor Rowe.
Aye. We are now at agenda item 20-314, which is the consideration of the adoption of another ordinance pertaining to certain grant funds. And Madam Clerk, will you read the caption of that ordinance, please?
Yes, sir. An ordinance accepting marketing leverage grant program funds in the amount of $10,000 from the Virginia Tourism Corporation and appropriating the said amount into the FY 2021 grants fund for use by the Department of Parks, Recreation, and Tourism.
Thank you, ma'am. So that we can put this matter before us for our consideration, is there a motion to adopt this
Move
ordinance?
to adopt.
Is there a
Second.
Any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, we're ready for the question. Again, if you're in favor of the motion, please indicate by voting aye, opposed nay. This will be a roll call vote. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Yes, sir. Mr. Battle,
Aye.
Mr. Clark,
Aye.
Mr. Glover,
Aye.
Mrs. Lucasberg,
Aye.
Mr. Moody,
Aye.
Miss Simmons,
Aye.
Mayor Rowe.
Aye. We're now at agenda item 20-315, which is the consideration, the adoption of another ordinance. And Madam Clerk, will you read the caption of this ordinance, please?
Yes, sir. An ordinance accepting COVID-19 municipal utility relief program funding in the amount of not to exceed $3,020,999 from the Virginia State Corporation Commission and appropriating said amount to the FY 2021 Grants Fund for use by the Department of Public Utilities to provide assistance to customers who are in arrears on their water bills due to the impacts of COVID-19.
Thank you. So that we can put this matter before us for our consideration, is our motion to adopt this ordinance?
Move for adoption.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion on the motion, which is to adopt? Hearing none, we're ready for the question. If you're in favor of adopting the motion, please indicate by saying aye. Opposed, nay. Madam Clerk, will you call the vote, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Battle,
Aye.
Mr. Clark,
Aye.
Mr. Glover,
Aye.
Mrs. Lucas Burke,
Aye.
Mr. Moody,
Aye.
Ms. Simmons,
Aye.
Mayor Rowe.
Aye. We're at item 20-316, which is the consideration of an ordinance to amend our city code. And Madam Clerk, will you read the caption of that ordinance, please?
Yes, sir. An ordinance to amend and reordain Appendix A of the Code of the City of Portsmouth, Virginia, for the purpose of conforming citations for planning and zoning fees to the amended and restated zoning ordinance.
So that we can put this matter before us for our consideration, is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion that's been duly made and seconded. We're ready for discussion on the motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, we're ready for the question. If you're in favor of the motion, please indicate by voting aye. Opposed, nay. And Mrs. White, will you call the vote, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Battle,
Aye.
Mr. Clark,
Aye.
Mr. Glover,
Aye.
Mrs. Lucas Burke,
Aye.
Mr. Moody,
Aye.
Ms. Simmons,
Aye.
Mayor Rowe.
Aye. We're at agenda item 20-317, which is the consideration of the adoption of another ordinance pertaining to our city code. And Madam Clerk, will you read the caption of this ordinance, please?
Yes, sir. An ordinance to amend and reordain Chapter 36 of the Code of the City of Portsmouth, Virginia, vegetation by deleting Article 3 thereof, tree planting and replacement, for the purpose of eliminating the duplication of provisions contained in the amended and restated zoning ordinance.
So that we can put this matter before us for our consideration, is there a motion to adopt this ordinance?
Move for adoption.
Second.
Is there a second? We have a motion that's been duly made and seconded. We're ready for discussion. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we're ready for the question. If you're in favor of the adoption of the motion, please indicate by voting aye. Opposed, nay. And Madam Clerk, will you call the vote, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Battle,
Aye.
Mr. Clark,
Aye.
Mr. Glover,
Aye.
Mrs. Lucas Burke,
Aye.
Mr. Moody,
Aye.
Ms. Simmons,
Aye.
Mayor Rowe.
Aye. We're at agenda item 20-318, which is the consideration and adoption of a certain resolution. And Madam Clerk, will you read the caption of the resolution, please?
Yes, sir. A resolution authorizing the conveyance of Zero Harbor Center Court, commonly known as the North Pier, by the Economic Development Authority to Waterfront Acquisition LLC, a subsidiary of Fairlead Integrated, and further authorizing the execution of a cooperation agreement with EDA addressing development of the property.
So that we can put this matter before us for our consideration, is there a motion to adopt this resolution?
So
Move
moved.
for adoption.
Second.
We have a motion that's been duly made and seconded. We're now ready for our discussion, and we do have a citizen that has requested to speak on this, Mark Godolgi-Yatrowski. And sir, if you're online, you now have the floor.
Council and neighbors, I have two concerns about present item. The first is that the city's deed had a restriction on it. relative to the the adjacent non-industrial uses, including the Atlantic Union Bank Pavilion, from any adverse impacts resulting from the North Pier development. My understanding is that the EDA's agreement will contain similar language, but what I'm not certain of in terms of that restriction is whether that includes the residential development that is in the vicinity, including the relatively new apartments and the pre-existing residences in Old Town South and other sections south of Effingham that might be impacted by the transformation of this site to a heavy industrial use. The second concern is that EDA has agreed to set aside 1/2 of the purchase price from the North Pier for a period of 4 years so the city can make any improvements to the pavilion property that the city deems necessary or desirable to protect the venue from adverse impacts. My concern is that $125,000 for protection of the pavilion property doesn't seem like a great deal relative to, again, the heavy industrial use that's anticipated for that property. So for these reasons, I am opposed to this form of agreement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion on this motion? Hearing none, we're ready for the question. This will be a roll call vote. If you're in favor of the motion and its adoption, please indicate by voting aye. Opposed, nay. And Madam Clerk, will you call the vote, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Battle,
Aye.
Mr. Clark,
Aye.
Mr. Glover, Mr. Glover.
Aye. Aye.
Okay. Mrs. Lucasberg,
Aye.
Mr. Moody,
Aye.
Miss Simmons,
Sorry, I did it too. Aye.
Mira.
Aye. Let's pause for a second. The noise that sounds like a horn, that's not coming from the city, so I don't want anybody to think that we're setting off an alarm. It's some background noise, and if you will, if you're not speaking, please mute. I think most people are muted. But with that, let's go to agenda item 20-319, which is the consideration of the adoption of a certain resolution. And Madam Clerk, will you read the caption of that resolution, please?
Yes, sir. A resolution authorizing the execution of a cooperation agreement with the Economic Development Authority regarding the marketing and development of 2 Harbor Court, 3 Harbor Court, and 2 Crawford Parkway, and further authorizing the conveyance of the said properties to EDA.
Thank you, ma'am. So that we can put this matter before us for our consideration, is there a motion to adopt this resolution?
So moved.
Move for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
And we have a motion that's been duly made and seconded. We're ready for our discussion, and we do have one registered speaker, and that's Mark Godalgi-Yatrowski. And sir, you have the floor.
Thank you. Council and neighbors, I agree with most of the provisions of this particular item. I like the fact that it's a joint venture between the council and the EDA, as I understand it, but I do not agree with conveying the visitor center as part of this property transfer. I believe the visitor center serves an essential function in the city of Portsmouth. It's an attractive building, and that it should remain. That's not coming from my side. It should remain in its current status as a functioning visitor center. So I would ask that it be excised from this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion on this motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, ma'am. The chair recognizes Councilwoman Simmons.
thank you, sir. I think
You
for
have
the
the floor.
benefit of the public and perhaps Mr. Godolgi-Yatrowski, the visitor center is a very viable and important part of our city and our tourism efforts. However, it is moving to High Street, where the tourists are and where the rest of our attractions are. Sometime Mr. Pace can tell us in the next few months, I believe, or at least before next spring, the building at 2-something High Street, the former Sports Hall of Fame. So we're not closing the visitor center. We're just putting it in a more feasible location for our tourists. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we're ready for the question, which is the adoption of this resolution. And Madam Clerk, will you call the vote, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Battle,
Aye.
Mr. Clark,
Aye.
Mr. Glover,
Aye.
Mrs. Lucasberg,
Aye.
Mr. Moody,
Aye.
Ms. Simmons,
Aye.
Mayor Rowe.
Aye. We're now at agenda item 20-320, which is the consideration of a resolution, the adoption of the same. And Madam Clerk, will you read the caption of this resolution, please?
Yes, sir. A resolution authorizing the execution of a cost-sharing agreement with the City of Norfolk for the relocation of water lines necessitated by the Commonwealth Railway Marshalling Yard expansion.
So that we can put this matter before us for our consideration, is there a motion to adopt this resolution?
Move for adoption.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor that's been duly made and seconded. It's ready for discussion. Any discussion on the motion? Yes, sir. The chair recognizes Councilman Battle. Sir, you have the floor.
Mr. Mayor, can you explain that to me? What is the joint effort and what service is it providing to both cities?
Okay, that's a good question that I'm going to ask the city manager to address. Mr. Pace, you're muted.
All right. Mr. Battle, the actual performance of the waterline relocation project requires design to the new lines, acquisition of property interests for the placement of the lines, and also bidding for contract to perform the installation of the lines, construction of the lines. The City of Norfolk had prepared and proposed an agreement for the performance of the relocation, with Norfolk serving as the lead agency. Under the proposed amendment, Norfolk will take responsibility for performing and contracting for all phases of the work. Norfolk will also have responsibility for all reporting and other administrative aspects of the rail enhancement fund grant. Portsmouth will pay Norfolk an administration fee of $125,000 per year and will remain to have the right to review and or bid documents and monitor construction to ensure the new line is consistent with Portsmouth's quality standards. Norfolk will ensure all the construction warranties are applicable to Portsmouth line and assigned to Portsmouth.
Yes, sir. Mr. Battle.
So what's the total cost of the project? If we're paying Norfolk $125,000 to handle the business end of it, is there any funds for the actual replacement and alterations? And how much would that be?
Mr. Battle, the economy of scale produced by partnering with Norfolk and obtaining the rail enhancement fund is substantially reduced the city's cost by over $7 million to approximately $2,750,000. And also to substantially reduce the staff time and resources that would be allocated to such a project. So partnering with Norfolk has enabled us to reduce our cost overall.
In summary, are you saying this is a good deal economically?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Any further discussion?
So there's no cost overruns and no hidden figures per se.
Is that correct, Mr. Bass?
Correct. And also with regard to this project, you were asking about costs. Norfolk will pay about 60% of the land acquisition cost, and Portsmouth will pay 40% of that as a result of the agreement.
Right. Well, see, when you say 60 and 40, you're not saying much to me. That doesn't give me a figure, but if you say that this saves us an awful lot of money, then I can live with that, I guess.
Good questions. Thank you, sir. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we're ready for the question. This will be a roll call vote. If you're in favor of the motion, please indicate by voting aye. Opposed, nay. Madam Clerk, please call the vote.
Yes, sir. Mr. Battle,
Aye.
Mr. Clark,
Aye.
Mr. Glover,
Aye.
Mrs. Lucas Burke,
Aye.
Mr. Moody,
Aye.
Ms. Simmons,
Aye.
Mayor Rowe.
Aye. We're now at new business on our agenda. Item 20-321, boards and commissions. And Councilman Moody, I don't think we have any nominations tonight. Is that correct?
That's correct.
We're now at item 20-322, items submitted by council members. Item A is the consideration of a certain ordinance. And Madam Clerk, will you read the caption of that ordinance, please?
Yes, sir. An ordinance confirming and continuing ordinance 2020-102, adopted on October 13th, 2020, and the emergency procedures established thereunder to ensure the continuity of local government during the COVID-19 pandemic.
Thank you, ma'am. So that we can put this matter before us for our consideration, is there a motion to adopt this ordinance?
Move for adoption.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion that's been duly made and seconded. We're ready for discussion. Is there any discussion on this motion?
You have a speaker.
I think that's for B, isn't it?
It's actually A.
It's actually A. Okay. We're at item 20-322A, and we have a motion on the floor that's been seconded. We're at our discussion, and we do have a speaker, and that's Mark Adalgi-Yatrosky. And sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, and neighbors. So when we went into this virtual meeting mode back in March, I don't think any of us anticipated we'd still be here 9 months later, but nearly 9 months later. But we are, and one of the side effects of this particular mode has been a diminished opportunity for the citizens to participate due to a poor implementation of procedures for that sort of input. Our neighboring localities have found a way that citizens can be seen and heard, and they have not curtailed the speaking time for citizens. Additionally, the comment deadlines that start a week before, the day before the city council meeting, and the day before the city council meeting have led to occasions when items have been added to the agenda on the day of the meeting after the public comment period has closed. For those who are sending in email messages or telephone messages. So it is my hope that the new council will be more conscientious and will strive harder to ensure that citizen input into these proceedings is restored to the greatest degree possible in the virtual meeting format. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Any further discussion on this motion? Hearing none, we're ready for the vote. This will be a roll call vote. If you're in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye, opposed nay. And Madam Clerk, will you call the vote, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Battle,
Aye.
Mr. Clark,
Aye.
Mr. Glover,
Aye.
Mrs. Lucas Burke,
Aye.
Mr. Moody,
Aye.
Ms. Simmons,
Aye.
Mayor Rowe.
Aye. Our next item is 20-322B, which is the consideration and adoption of a certain resolution. And Madam Clerk, will you read the caption of this resolution, please?
Yes, sir. A resolution authorizing the city attorney to petition the Portsmouth Circuit Court to hold a special election on November 2nd, 2021 to fill a vacant seat on city council.
So that we can put this matter before us for our consideration, is there a motion to adopt this resolution?
Move for adoption.
Is there a second?
Second.
We now have a motion that's been duly made and seconded, which is to adopt this resolution. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, we're ready for the question. If you're in favor of the motion, please indicate by voting aye, opposed nay. And Madam Clerk, will you call the vote, please?
Yes, sir. Mr. Battle,
Aye.
Mr. Clark,
Aye.
Mr. Glover,
Aye.
Mrs. Lucas Burke,
Aye.
Mr. Moody,
Aye.
Ms. Simmons,
Aye.
Mayor Rowe.
Aye. Any further items under 20-322?
I have an item, Mayor.
Okay, the chair recognizes Councilman Bill Moody. Sir, you have the floor. Your camera's off, Mr. Moody.
Yeah, I understand. I have an item, a letter actually that members of council were copied on. It's from our police and retired firefighters association. I would like for this to be submitted to the minutes, and I'll read it verbatim. We're requesting the following two items for consideration in the 2021-22 budget year. One, give all sworn public safety retirees, widows, and widowers a $1,500 stipend effective July the 1st, 2021. It can be paid in two payments, $750 on July the 1st of 2021 and $750 on January the 1st of 2022. Secondly, we request the HRA program to be continued as of January the 1st, 2022, with an increase of $400 due to the increases in medical costs and insurance premiums over the past 6 years that this program has been in existence. The program is a great benefit to retirees with the least income. Respectively submitted, Police and Retired Firefighters Association. They also included some backup on the increasing cost of medical expenses. And what they're asking is for the for this to be discussed in the upcoming budget discussion.
Thank you, sir. Without dissent, we'll give this matter to the city manager so that he can study it and give report back to council as he develops the budget. Is that agreeable with everybody?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. Um, we're now at item 20-323, report on pending items. Mr. Pace.
Mayor, there are no pending items that I have as of now. The city attorney may have some.
I do have one.
All right. Go ahead,
Uh,
Mr. City Attorney.
the council at the last meeting asked that we investigate what would be required to amend charter provision section 3.11, which is entitled the non-interference in appointments or removals. We drafted a memo on this. I sent it out to everyone. I don't know if y'all have seen it. I sent it out this morning. Uh, we looked at the process that is required to amend the charter, as well as some possible language to change the penalty provisions in that charter, in that charter provision. We have found that there's no way to meet the time tables or the timeline, the legislative timeline, to be able to introduce this to the legislature in Richmond before they meet. Basically, the process requires a notice of public hearing. That notice must be provided 10 days before the hearing. The city council holds the public hearing. Then there has to be an adoption of a resolution. Then ultimately, it has to go to the state legislature and has to be pre-filed before the legislature meets. There's no way we can meet that timeline this year. In my memo that I sent to everybody, we did provide some options as far as the penalties. Right now, the charter says, or that provision 3.11 says that any council member violating the provisions of this section or voting for a motion, resolution, or ordinance in violation of this section shall be guilty of a class 3 misdemeanor, and upon conviction thereof shall forfeit office as a council member. We have provided some options in our email or in our memo. I don't know if it's worth going through those now, since this council presently will not be able to vote on this charter amendment. I can go through it, or what I would suggest is if y'all would read the memo that I sent to you today, feel free to contact me. Unless anybody wants me to go through the possible ways we can change the penalty provisions right now. But again, this council can't act upon it. It's going to have to be done next October and November as part of the legislative package that this deal handles for us. Does anybody have any questions? Does anybody want me to get into more detail?
No, thank you for getting back on that, Burl. That was at my suggestion, and I think council was unanimous in their support of including this in our legislative package. But obviously, it'll be up to the new council how to proceed.
That's great. Thank you, Councilman.
Okay, thank you. Any other pending items? We're now at item 20-324, non-agenda speakers, and we have several. Our first non-agenda speaker is Mark Yudalgi-Yatrowski, and sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, and neighbors. So in observing the work session tonight, I'm disappointed that the audit report was actually a status of work in progress, and that they have not completed that work, and that the work will not be done for this council meeting. I raised concerns back in October about council's intent to allocate money for retiree bonuses, for the pay increase that had been recommended but held in abeyance due to COVID-19, and a compensation equivalent for employees of the city who had not received CARES Act bonuses. So there was a comparable bonus proposal. So altogether, those three items amounted to about $3 million in expenditure from the general fund without council having any idea of what the ending total was from fiscal year 2020. To me, as I stated at the time and reiterate, that is fiscal irresponsibility. It is my hope that the new council will be more circumspect, especially with the 5-year forecast that was presented this evening, showing revenues being for 2022, which is the next budget cycle, showing a shortfall of $11 million from the get-go. That, of course, may change in some respect, but the last time we had any shortfall back in 2008, 2009, it resulted in major layoffs within the city. And I do not see any flood of revenue that would change that sort of scenario for the upcoming budget year. So, new council and continuing council members, you will have your work cut out for you. And whoever has been running that air horn in the background, you know, it's juvenile. To my fellow citizens across the city, including on council, happy holidays.
Thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Alan Privet. Sir, you have the floor. And if I mispronounce your name, I apologize. Madam Clerk, do you know if he's in the queue in the lobby?
He's muted. Mr. Pruitt, you have to unmute.
Star 6.
Star 6.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir. Go ahead. You've got the floor. Please start again.
Can you? Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. I want to say
No
good
problem.
evening to the city. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Go
Go ahead. You've got the floor.
Okay. Good evening to the city council. I'm representative for Portsmouth African American Museum, and I'm just trying to find out what would be our next steps in making that a reality to have a portion of that sports hall museum.
Does that conclude your comment, sir?
Yes, sir, it does.
Okay. Thank you for your comments. And Mr. Pace, will you get with this gentleman and talk about next steps?
Yes.
I remind everybody that at the council retreat that we had this year, we all agreed that the goal is to put the African American Museum and a portion of the Sports Hall of Fame. And so without dissent, Mr. Pace, will you initiate that meeting?
I will.
All right, thank you, sir. Our next speaker is Sherry Bailey. And ma'am, you have the floor.
Mayor, I don't see Miss Bailey in the queue. I don't see her in the queue, but Council Word provided her comments earlier.
And that's what I was going to ask. I know that she had given us correspondence on this matter, and it has been distributed.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I do not have any additional speakers. Do you?
No, sir.
Okay. This may well be our last meeting of the year. It's our last scheduled meeting. We will not meet again unless there's an emergency. Again, this pandemic is real. And in fact, we heard about the surge and the double surge. And I really, really ask all the citizens of Portsmouth to take this seriously and show your love for your neighbor and for yourself by wearing a mask and practice social distancing. It is the holiday season, and on behalf of City Council, I'd like to wish first all the citizens of Portsmouth happy holidays as you celebrate either Hanukkah or the Christmas season and a new year. As we close this out, it's been a very interesting year across the nation as we have all dealt with this serious pandemic. Comments have been made about our virtual meeting, and I can tell you firsthand from being on the executive committee of the Virginia Municipal League that Portsmouth was probably in the leader on citizens' participation. I know as recently as last month, one of our neighboring cities, which is far larger in population than Portsmouth, was still struggling on how to get citizens as non-agenda speakers as part of their meeting. And so congratulations, Mr. Pace, and to our Director of IT, Daniel Jones, on making these virtual meetings as two-way as possible and as transparent as possible.
Thank you,
and thank you to the citizens of Portsmouth for your patience as we continue the operations of city government. And with that, God bless everyone. And this meeting is adjourned.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Christmas
Merry
tonight.
Christmas, everybody. All right.